Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, I'm Coco. I never did a sit down video like this on this channel, so I'm kind of nervous, and especially because I'm talking about something that's really personal, and it's my journey and it's my life. But you know, I really want to share because one, I truly think it will help somebody, simply because it has. When I tell my story, it has brought people to wearing hijab. It has brought women to just wanting to be a little bit more modest. Now, I'm not the standard definition for modesty. I know a lot of people have a problem with the way that I dress as a Muslim woman, but we're not here to talk about that right now. We're here to talk about my hijab journey, and it's just been a journey. So yeah, so I'm just gonna get started. I'm not gonna like prolong it. I really want to just get this out because I've been wanting to get this out for quite some time. So I can't really talk about my story without talking about the beginning of how I got introduced to hijab. When I first moved to America, we moved here like I lived in Minnesota with my grandmother, and my grandmother was Christian, so she had us at church every single Sunday, yada yada yada. My mother and my father are Muslim, and so while we were living with my grandma, we obviously had to do with what my grandma wanted us to do, which was, like I said, church every Sunday. So I wasn't around Islam and I wasn't around Muslims until the age of 7. When I got to 7 and we moved to Pennsylvania, we seen all the Muslims. Like everywhere I went, I saw a lot of Muslims, and then we had a home musalla, like a masjid, right? So when I was 7, that's when I started to see all these little brown girls and Arab girls in hijab all the time, nonstop. And I was like, what? Why is everybody's hair covered? You know, kind of like that, because I didn't know anything about it. And then my grandma did tell us when we were leaving, she was like, you know, y'all going to live with your dad. She's like, you're going to be seeing a bunch of Muslims and they going to cover their hair and da-da-da-da-da. So it's like, okay, whatever. So once I got there and I saw it, I was just like, okay, this is different. I automatically felt like an outcast. I'm going to turn this off. I automatically felt like an outcast because I wasn't doing what everybody else my age was doing. But then you get friends and you learn people and you just like you want to fit in. So as I was learning more about Islam and just learning, we ended up going to a Muslim school. So as I started learning more about the religion and falling in love with the religion even young, I was like, I want to do this and I want to pray. I want to be this way or that way. Hold on. Sorry about that. I just had to put my phone on vibrate. So I wanted to start being like the girls that I was around. My first Muslim friend, my first friend that was ever in hijab ever, her name was Enzania, and like we just hit it off, best friends. And what was we in first grade? I don't know what grade we were in, but when we met, she was wearing her hijab. All the girls around her was wearing hijab. And I was like, oh, this is so nice, whatever. I want to cover. Our neighborhood was crazy. And so when I would go to our neighborhood, I would like take my hijab off and just do what my friends in the neighborhood is doing. And then when I would go to the musalla, I would be like this. I would be covered. I would be poised. I would be modest. And I just continued doing that. And then when I got to be around 11, I was tall, right? People thought I was like older than I was. And I think around 11, I don't even want to guess, but I was tall I'm 5'7" now. So I probably was 5'7", right? I don't know, but I was tall and people thought that I was mukallaf. Now, mukallaf means accountable, pubescent, you know, you've gotten your period. People thought that I was mukallaf, and I had to tell them all the time, like, I'm not mukallaf. So I would be running around the musalla with braids, beads, stuff in my hair, feeling wrong, but like knowing I'm supposed to be covered because my girls are covered, but like I knew that I didn't have to be because I wasn't mukallaf. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take full advantage of this not having to cover my hair thing, right? So once I got there one day and my teacher pulled me to the side, and at this time I had gotten curves and everything, but still again wasn't mukallaf, so I didn't have to wear the hijab. I was genuinely milking it. So she was like, you're not mukallaf yet? I'm like, no. Which now looking back, I'm like, that was an uncomfortable conversation. It was quite cringy, to be honest. But I was like, no. And she was like, okay, but you should start practicing so you can get in the habit of wearing hijab, whatever. I felt immediately bad, and I just was like, oh, I don't want to go to Musalla today. Like, every time my family's getting dressed, I'm not going. But we all had to go every time, like, with each other, like a group, right? Nobody's gonna be left in the house. Like, who do you think you are? So I just used to be like, oh, I don't want to go, or I gotta do this, or I gotta do that, just because I felt like a way. I didn't want to wear my hijab because I didn't have to. That was just straight the answer. So once I got my cycle and I became mukallaf, I knew that I had to start wearing it, and it was just like water, like no problems. I didn't have any problems with it. I didn't feel like an outcast, but again, I'm going to a Muslim school. All I see is Muslims. My whole life is Muslims. So my best friends, my teachers, my family, you know what I'm saying? My mom didn't have us in a world where we were around people that weren't Muslim. So it didn't affect me. Well, then we had moved to another neighborhood, and when we moved to that other neighborhood, my Muslim school only went up to the grade. Our Muslim school only went up to the 8th grade, right? And so once it went up to 8th grade, we kind of were like, okay, now we have to do public school. And when I got to public school, boy, it was really hard. Everybody knows middle school is hard. I think we went in 6th grade. I think it was 6th grade. I'm sorry, 6th grade. We went into public school at 6th grade. And when I went to 6th grade, they was calling it rag on my head. The kids, they had jokes. You know how kids is. Like, we all been to school. They was calling me all types of names. And I was dark skinned, so it was like, you Blackie Chan, African booty scratcher. Just, all the names that they can come up with in their heads or whatever, to make me feel a way about how I was dressed and how I wore my hijab and all of that. At the time, we called it kimar. So back and forth, I'm gonna say back and forth between kimar. So I started to feel ugly. Like, it's no other word to explain how I started to feel. I didn't feel beautiful in my hijab the way that I came up feeling. I didn't feel none of that. I felt ugly. I felt like restricted and ugly, okay? And so when you feel that way, you just carry yourself that way. You carry yourself like you don't feel good about yourself. And so that's where a lot of fighting started to happen. A lot of, like, people pulling your scarf off your head, and you getting into fights, all of that. So that's what middle school started to look like for me. And then I started then maybe 7th or 8th grade wanting to take my scarf off, but I'm like, I know I can't do this. Like, I'm in a very strict Muslim household. My stepdad not going for that. My mom not going for that. Even when I go to Musalla on the weekends or after school, I still have my real life of being around Muslims. So it was bothering me, but when I leave this school, I'm good. So I get into high school, and it's even worse. More fights. I mean, they blatantly, like, telling you they're going to take your hijab off, rip it off your head, and you just got to either defend yourself. So I felt like my first year in high school, when I got there, I needed to make a name for myself. And I'm not saying that this is what anybody should do, but I had to make a name for myself, because I knew that my little sisters was going to be coming here the year after, and my brother. Yeah, we're not doing that. So I got into a lot of fights, y'all. I mean, it's to the point that if people talk about me from high school, they're going to mention me and my sisters always fighting, because people was always getting at this hijab. Like, it was always a problem for people. Like, oh, what your hair look like that? Y'all probably bald headed, that's why y'all wear that. And then you got the urge to want to show them my hair is down my back, right? So it was a whole lot of that, and it just started making me, little by little, chipping away at me, started to make me resent my hijab. Like, why are we even wearing this? Why was the point? Knowing why we wear hijab, knowing what the point is, but it still made me feel like, if I could just be invisible with my hijab on me, my hijab, and my life, if I could just make myself, like, kind of invisible, then these kids won't have nothing to say, and I will feel cool. So by the time I was nearing 18, about to get out of high school, I was like, I told my stepdad, I was like, I'm taking my hijab off when I turn 18. He's like, no, you're not. You're just saying that now, whatever. And so I did when I turned 18, and my mom was pissed about it. She was like, not talking to me, all of that. I got it. I understood how she felt. So I took my hijab off and I went to prom without my hijab. I had locks at the time. Well, we call them dread, but I know people get offended by that. I don't know why. I'm Trinidadian, so it's the cool thing to do in Trinidad is to call it dread. So I had my dreads, my locks, whatever, and I wore them to prom. Everybody was like, oh my God. They made a big deal because it was like, not only do you have hair, you look pretty outside of your hijab to us, and wow, like you just that girl. And now the girls, when we get back to school, now the girls want to be friends, like, oh, da 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 da. And I was always very wise as a child, so I knew not to make them people my friends, but still I was just like, okay, the girls, they see me, like they see me. So from there, that's what solidified, like, yeah, definitely on my 18th birthday taking this off, because I was doing a whole lot of like sneaking and throwing it behind my ears and just all trying to wear it in all these different creative ways so it didn't give what they call rag, right? So once I took it off, that was at 18, I went to college, and it was off. I was living a very wild dunya filled life, unfortunately, and then one thing led to another, and then things started speeding. I became a mom like right at the end at 19, had my son at 20. No, I said that completely wrong, but y'all know what I mean. Just everything that could come with the life of like rebelling against. And it wasn't a crazy rebel. Like it wasn't like a super disrespectful to parents type of rebel. It was more like rebelling, right? And I'm feeling bad about this, but I'm just trying to say it because I'm trying to share, because I want to get this off my chest. So I ended up having my son. Something that would bother me, once he started talking a little bit, something that would bother me is like if he looks at my mom and he looks at me and he'd be like, Mommy, why you don't wear what grandma wears? So I was little by little like, when I turned 40, I kept saying, when I turn 40, I'm going to put my hijab on. I'm going to get myself together. Like, I'm going to get back to doing everything that I need to do when I turn 40. Like, who said that I was ever getting a chance to be 40? I don't know, but that was the mentality that I was with. So at 25, my brother, he had gotten some trouble and he got locked up. He was going to be deported, right? And that was really hard on my family. Like, my brother is like how my son is, like they're chill. They really are like the black boys that stay out the way. And so when he was in trouble, it was hurting my heart. It was sending me into depression. But then Ramadan came, and I remember that Ramadan like being like, I'm going to start covering, but not right now. I'm gonna cover during Ramadan, which is like, it's crazy to even remind myself that I had that mentality. So it's like, I'll cover during Ramadan or whatever. It didn't cover that Ramadan. But I was fasting and I was praying, and then I was just like, they were saying that they were definitely going to deport him. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make, sorry if the light is changing back and forth behind me. The sun is out going up and down. So I was like, I'm going to make dua every single night, whatever. Like, how can I get Allah to answer this dua? And I remember going up there to see my brother, and I went to see my brother. Now, my brother, he's always been like good on his deen and everything, but you know, when people get locked up, they be even more on their deen because they have nothing but time to really focus and to worship Allah and to pray and make dua and all of that. So once I seen him, and I went up there, y'all, I went up there in a mini skirt and a tank top. And I don't think he's ever seen me in that way. And when I got to the thing, my mom and all of them talked to him, and then they was like, okay, we bring her in there to talk. And when he saw me, he looked me up and down. Little to no rap for me. He didn't really want to talk about nothing with me because he was so like shocked, but also he had that look on his face like, hey, like, this is what you want now? So he was like, yeah, how Taj, how whatever, conversation. And we talk all the time. So conversation was, I guess he talking to him over the phone for 2 years. He was probably thinking I was doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And to see me like that, I really will never forget the look on his face. And he looks like my dad, and my dad was so big on us just being, you know, good Muslim women. And it just reminded me of my dad. Like, my dad would look like that. My dad would have that face if he seen me dressed like that. And so when I was on our way, when we was in the car on our way back home, I was like, I was working at BET at this time, y'all, 106 in Park. So at this, so on the car ride home, I said, just blurted out, I was like, I think I'm gonna start wearing my hijab again. And somebody, I won't say the name because I don't want them to get sins or anything on them, but somebody driving the car was like, I really don't think you should do that. You just got that job up there at BET. You just started working with celebrities. You just started whatever. You probably shouldn't do that. And I was like, Instagram was out at this time, and I made a note. I'm going to try to find a note for y'all. I made a note, and it was like tweetgrams at the time. I took a tweetgram and I posted, I was like, I really want to wear my hijab now. And this is all happening within 30 minutes time. I was like, I think I want to start wearing my hijab. Mind you, it had been messing with me. Like, the thought of it had been keep coming to me, but I was like, I don't know how to do this. I'll do it when I'm 40. So I put the tweetgram up, and I was like, someone said, because I've been working with celebrities, it might hinder my career. And then the feedback that I got, this is when people wasn't shy to comment anything on your post, and the feedback that I got was so positive. And so when I got home, I just started crying. And so a couple months passed of me just doing me or whatever, but still feeling like I want to put my hijab on. So I put it on one day, and I went up to work, and this is at the CBS building. So you gotta know, people are like, and in New York, people was like, oh, okay, what are you doing with this? And I was like, oh, I'm Muslim. And they like, oh, you just became Muslim, how was that? And I'm like, no, I always been Muslim, and I just want to start wearing it. And it was like nothing else to talk about. Like, there's like, okay, cool, you're here to do a job, right? And so when it came to celebrities, they never cared. It was very much, is my makeup still going to slay? Okay, well, girl, oh, congratulations, yes, great job on finding you. Like, it was never that. So I was thinking the person that had said that to me, not gonna lie, y'all, I started looking at that person very different, because I just did. So once I came back from the work part of it, and they had accepted it and whatever, not that I was looking for acceptance, but they had treated it like, okay, girl, we don't care. Once that happened like that, I was like, okay, now in my neighborhood, in my hometown, like where I'm growing up at, I'm gonna start wearing it. That was the hard part for me. I don't know why it was so hard, but it was so emotional, and it was so hard to put my hijab on, y'all. Like, I literally still have videos, and I pray that I could find them. They're actually in my old laptop, and I was sitting there talking. I wish I could find the videos. It would make the world of difference if y'all could see those videos. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna do my best to see if I could inject them here. If I don't, I'm gonna continue to explain. So I had on this leopard hijab and like this red top, and I was talking about how hard this is for me to like even go to Ross in a hijab. I was like, I just feel so crazy. I feel so restricted. I feel like I'm not myself. I feel like I'm not sexy. And these are all not great thoughts, because number one, I had gotten to a place where when I wasn't in hijab, that I like being cute, being sexy, being all of that stuff, like desired all of that stuff. This is real tea, y'all. All that stuff was like at the forefront for me. Like, am I a baddie? Like, do they see me as a baddie? That's what I was paying attention to. And so putting on a hijab for me was very much like covering up everything that I thought was beautiful. So I had put it on and I was crying in Ross. I was crying in other stores. I would go in the car. I'm just like, why am I wearing this? I don't want to wear this hijab. Like, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling beautiful. I thrive on feeling beautiful. Like, I really do, always have. And so once I think time went on, and I knew that I wasn't taking it off. I knew that I had already told Instagram I'm putting it on. And somebody was like, I remember this girl being like, at least you're not one of them girls who take it on and put it off. So I was like, yeah, I ain't trying to be that girl, because I don't, like, the way she just said that, like, yeah, let me make sure I keep it on. So I kind of had Instagram as my account to, like, the people watching what just happened. I kind of had that as like my accountability partner. So I kept it on because I didn't want to be a letdown. I didn't want to let myself down. Didn't want to let my brothers down. I kept it on. And eventually I was like, well, why do you keep throwing on the same cardigan with it? Why do you keep throwing on the same hijab? Why do you keep throwing on the same black pants? And why aren't you wearing heels? Like, why did you just put it on and become like this? And I was like, wait, I am fashionable regardless. So maybe I can, like, dress myself up. Like, it is how I came up. We did grow up dressing nice. Your mom is really stylish. So why are you acting like you just put it on and you gotta just be drab about it? So then I started to happen to fashion. I started to dress my hijabs up and whatever. Now, when I first put it on, I put it on the correct way, which is, you know, making sure that my neck was covered. I had it like, right, this is how I was. And then I was just like, well, get some shirts, get some frilly shirts, do bell sleeves, and you gotta really dabble in longer jewelry, because, you know, we like our necklaces up here to feel really feminine and soft and cute. But I was like, you gotta get longer jewelry so it can be seen out your hijab and you can just feel soft, whatever. You gotta get bangles, babe. You gotta get bangles. You gotta get stuff to dress it up. And so that's what I started to do. So I was like, let me make sure that I get in shape so everything I want to wear just flows nicely on me. And then, y'all, I just started to feel beautiful because I put myself together beautifully. And so I remember I had a segment on the news and I was like super nervous. I'm like, what? I'm about to be showing up on the news in a hijab? Like, I never thought that would be like my story. So I got there and they were just like, oh my gosh, you are so beautiful. I've never seen it. And they was just making a big deal out of it. And I felt like, okay. Now I know all these reasons of why I got back in hijab are nothing like what we think we should do it for. Like, I know, like, you put it on your hijab, you should do it for the sake of Allah. And eventually I corrected my intention and I started to do this for the sake of Allah. I'm doing it right now for the sake of Allah. But my initial reasons was for, like, who am I? What am I doing? I'm really out here wilding out. And in order to get back to me, at the core of me, on who I really am and who I feel my best at, it was to put my hijab back on. So hijab was on, starting to get little play, like, you know, doing little things here and there. Instagram was happening. You can upload yourself looking gorgeous in makeup. And that's what I was doing. I was just like taking pictures, whatever. People took a liking to my look. People took a liking to me, personality, all of that. And before you knew it, I am 34 now. I started covering at 26 or 27, one of those. And I've been really happy covered. Number one, the disrespect from men. This is something we don't talk about. The disrespect from men. I did not know I was talking for 25 minutes. My God. The disrespect from men is just like little to none. Okay. I mean, men still try to talk to you in hijab, but like the way that I was dressed before and the bundles all the way down the back, the moment you tell a man like you can't talk to him, like he's mad, you getting called a name or something stupid is going on. With me, they look twice. Some of them be like, some people be like, you're very beautiful. They say whatever, they go their way. They kind of like respect me. And so I love that. And then I love that so many women, my God, I don't know. I want to say thousands, but like we'll go with hundreds because I just don't know. Hundreds of women have been like, I started covering because of you. I started doing this because of you. And I'm like, y'all don't even know how hard this was for me. Like, my little cousin just started recovering again, and she was crying about it. And she was like, I was really having a breakdown. And I was like, you sound like me. I was having a mental breakdown. Like, oh, why do I gotta... Sorry, my kid's coming. Why do I gotta... I can love Allah and I can worship Allah without having to cover my hair. Because the truth is, believe it or not, under the hijab, the girls are giving. And I be wanting to show y'all that I am giving. I be wanting to show y'all the inches. I be wanting to show y'all the thickness, the fullness, the shininess of my hair. I be wanting to show y'all, oh, I just did these curls. Look, I want to show y'all the full beauty. Trust me, it is so hard. Some days, even when I look rough in the house, but my hair is out, it's a 10 to me. It's a 10. And so the hard part is covering up my beauty for shallow reasons. But it gets easier when I know I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. I know that there are other women who go through the same thing I'm going through and feel the same way I feel. Like, sometimes when my friends, like, when they hype me up, or if I get my hair done or do my hair or whatever, I'll send pictures to my friends, like, you know, just doing the thing, whatever, and they be like, girl, if people really saw you uncovered, like, you would be a whole problem. And stuff like that make you be like, I'm about to do it. And then you be like, girl, no. Because I don't want to, I know I'm going to have to answer to Allah for other things in my life that I've done. I can cover my hair. I can cover my hair. I can protect myself. This is my crown. This is a thing. This hijab has brought so many people to me in life and made them become Muslim, become interested in Islam, so many reasons. So I know that I'm doing this for the right reason. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the easiest thing that I do every day, because some days I put on an outfit, I'll be like, this will look cute with a high ponytail. Then I'll be like, but we'll put on a cream scarf with it and we'll go. Because I'm Muslim at the end of the day, and I want to show up as a Muslim. I want to show up looking like a Muslim. And although like I said in the beginning, I may not be the ideal representation of a Muslim woman or a black Muslim woman, but I want you to know, when you look at me, she's Muslim. I want you to know that, because my religion is so beautiful. Islam is so beautiful. And if I can bring somebody to Islam, or if I can help somebody understand, or if I can just have somebody look at me as a Muslim woman with respect and put respect on Islam, I'm going to do it every single time. Every single time, I'm going to grab my hijab and put it on. As far as struggling, I just mentioned most of the struggles, which is like worldly things. Like, you want somebody to see your hair. You want them to see how pretty the curls is, whatever. And then after that, then what? People lust after you. I don't want that. I don't want to be lusted after. Like, it's already a thing where me being curvy, me and a slim girl can be wearing the same outfit and stand next to each other, and they're gonna be like, oh my god, you look so cute. And for me, it's gonna be like, oh my god, cover up, because I'm curvy, whatever, hips. Y'all, that, like I said, that is a whole nother conversation, and maybe we can get into it if y'all ever really want to get into it. But it's already, the struggles for me is people limiting me and telling me how I should look and how I should be dressed. People always telling me that I'm not really in hijab because of the way that my clothes fit, or that I choose to wear a shirt that actually fit tight to my skin. As long as I'm covered, leave me alone, because you will hear my mouth, period. I mean, I'm not going to argue with everybody on social media. A lot of times I ignore that stuff, or I delete and block. And I do have certain words banned in my Instagram comment section, so that if you do think that you're going to say something disrespectful and it got curvy in there or not modest in there, you type that long paragraph, and it's not going to be sent, because I don't want to hear it. Like, y'all don't know what people go through to show up the way that they even show up. So that's my hijab story. And I know that there's probably so much more, but ever me have y'all just sit here for a long time with me talking about the entire journey. But I feel like I covered everything. I feel like I got, you know, I covered every part of that journey. And if you guys want to talk about it, I'm down to talk in my DMs on Instagram, and I'm down to talk in the comment section with y'all about it, because I know that everybody's on their own journey in life, and I know a lot of Muslim women follow me. Sorry y'all, I don't know how some people be getting past the do not disturb. They be getting past. But anyways, again, I was saying, I don't know what people go through on their journey to becoming a better version of themselves. Like, I want to be a better Muslim. I want to eventually one day not be worried about feeling beautiful and be able to put on something and just be like, it is what it is. But in the meantime, between time, baby, you're gonna get this version of Coco, okay? I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. If you stayed to the end, you were a real one. And make sure you subscribe, because a lot of times, I say this all the time, the views don't be matching the subscriptions. It has to match, guys. So make sure that you are subscribed. Make sure that you are subscribed. And for the people, for the 1% of you who got a problem every time I look in the viewfinder versus the lens, I don't know what to tell you. I gotta be comfortable sitting here talking to a camera, okay? I gotta be comfortable. Love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.